아이고. 안녕하세요. 술 안 먹었습니다. 오늘은 토요일입니다. 2월 마지막 날, 2월 29일 11시 49분인데 확진자 2,900명. 우리나라를 여행을 제한하고 규제하는 나라는 71개국으로 바뀌었네요. 운동하고 너무 졸려. 오늘은 퇴근하자마자 바로 자야 돼요. 내일 하루 쉬고 또 새벽 근무로 바뀌기 때문에 다시 또 몸을 살짝 바꿔놔야 됩니다. 그래서 오늘은 아침에 지금 일어나자마자 운동을 해야 돼요. 스트레칭 좀 하고 이거 한 20개 들고 끝내겠습니다. CNN을 보도록 하겠습니다.
This is a pretty shocking picture. Would you condemn President Assad for 100,000 plus deaths? You still have huge dreams. They didn't take that away from you.
They only can shoot a body, but they cannot shoot my dreams.
I wonder whether you ever think that other countries can learn from what you did. I'm sure you must be the first cycling president. Bonjour, comment ça va? Salam alaikum. Mr. President. What a historic day, huh? Holy Father, you were the first person to call modern slavery and human trafficking a crime against humanity. She says yes, women are the future. Can I just address the elephant in the room? You're wearing your dark glasses. What made you be so passionate about the environment? I saw you listening to that testimony. You look pretty broken up yourself. Does love have a chance of winning? I always believe that.
This is the 100 Club, our look at companies that are 100 years old or older. The KLM archives reflect an airline steeped in tradition and heritage, dating back a century.
Our first long-haul flight was back in 1924 to Batavia at that time, today's Jakarta in Indonesia.
It took about a week to go from Amsterdam to the final destination.
In 1952, KLM began handing out their now famous little Dutch houses. But giving gifts to passengers was forbidden, so they found a unique way to get around it.
So our way to circumvent that rule was not to give a gift, but to give a drink. So there's Dutch gin inside. The Dutch gin is being offered in these small houses, and what started as a sort of small marketing gimmick has become a collector's item.
All new Inside Africa. Unlocking the mysteries behind the continent you thought you knew. In South Africa, dogs of war go to great heights in the fight against poaching.
We have made hundreds of arrests on all types of criminals through the use of canines.
Inside Africa, Sunday, only on CNN in association with Zenith Bank.
Oh, perfect.
Raj, meet your new partner.
I'm too old for this.
A lot of us are feeling that way these days. Now look, I was a little sideways about using this clip because Danny Glover, obviously Roger Murtaugh, that I hear is so much more than an actor. He is certainly an artist who has a place in politics. He grew up in it. He's been active on social justice causes and political causes since he was young. He is backing Bernie Sanders since I believe April. He's working for him down in South Carolina. and he is an effective advocate. Danny Glover, thank you for joining us on Primetime.
Oh.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Chris.
So first, what's Bernie got that other Democrats don't have, in your opinion?
Well, he has authenticity, for one. He has a history. And that history has been one history of fighting on behalf of working people, of fighting for justice. And he has spoken out, and whether he was senator, whether he was a mayor, wherever it is, whether he was a young student himself, who was a part of the civil rights movement, is the part of CORE in Chicago. So there's this history there, and it's consistent as well. And the issues that Bernie brings to attention, whether it's the cancellation of student debts, whether it's Medicare for all those things are things that really citizens are concerned about. And it's not to take anything away from the affordable health care, but certainly there are millions of Americans who are out without health care and without adequate health care as well.
So the formidable Jim Clyburn says that the issues that Bernie cares about, so does Joe Biden, so does others, and they don't carry the risk of his radical ideas and rigidity that could cause problems for the party. Here's how Clyburn put it.
I talked to members on both sides of our political equation. They were very, very concerned about whether or not we will do something or have somebody on the ticket that will cause down-ballot carnage. I've been in the Congress 28 years. It may not surprise you to know that 21 of those years were in the minority. And that ain't a good place to be.
Why do you not share his concern?
Well, with all due respect to the congressman and the work that he's done here in South Carolina, I certainly think that this is a moment, a transitional moment, and certainly in the body politics. The young people have come to the table. The fears that they have for the future, whether it's global warming and climate change, for the debt, the massive debt that they have around the country. We're talking about 45 million citizens have debt, this overburdening of debt
Absolutely.
from just their students' loan. So that's real in a sense. And certainly what has happened is Bernie has furthered the conversation. He's deepened the conversation, and he's deepened the conversation. And with the deepening of that conversation, I think he's built a movement around this.
Well, there's no question. And we can't sleep on a movement. I argue, personally, I made that mistake in 2016. I underestimated how the president's lack of credentials and his vulgarity would disqualify him when there was such a significant group of people that validated him. Similarly here with Bernie, while they're not similar stylistically at all, in my opinion, he's got the movement. But why can't he do this, Danny? Why can't he say, my principle is Medicare for all? But people, even in the civil rights movements, obviously, they don't surrender their principles, but they changed positions to get things done. And it's not my way or the highway. I don't even know how many Democrats we'll have. I don't know what the state of play will be. I will try to get the best deal I can to move us as far in that direction as possible. Why can't he say something like that instead of saying it's all or nothing?
Well, I'm not familiar with that all or nothing scenario that you presented, but I think the idea that we've changed the dialogue, the discourse. I mean, this whole idea of universal health care has gone on about 100 years in this country. Eleanor Roosevelt, the first lady, at the end of World War II, proposed the idea of universal health care.
That's true.
So when we've reached, we've known that and struggled with that. You know, unions, labor unions also fall on the basis of a universal health care. And in fact, imagine what universal health care would have meant if you take health care out of negotiation or collective bargaining that you would have had.
There's
and
no
so
question.
so here we are at this particular point in time where we know there's a serious issue with that. You know, among so many issues, you know, this is a discussion that is happening among the American people.
It is.
And
but the
whether
leaders
you're
have to
whatever
figure
side
out
you are,
how to
and
get it done, Danny. That's all I'm saying.
That's-
Is if
that's
he
gonna-
seemed a
that-
little bit
that-
more
that-
malleable, he may get farther. That's all I'm saying. You're right about the conversation. You're right that he's advanced it. And it's just about whether he can convince moderates that he would work with them. And that's why I'm referring to the all or nothing attitude. Before I let you go, I had you here because you deserve it as an advocate. I know what you're doing in South Carolina. I know what it means to Bernie's campaign, but I'm also a fan. I hear there's going to be a Lethal Weapon 5. Will you confirm, and will you make my day by telling me that I will get to see you in it?
I can't confirm. You know,
must confirm.
We only know that I must confirm. Okay. There will be, for you, only you, there will be a Lethal Weapon 5.
And will I get to see my favorite part of it, Danny Glover?
Of course.
Oh, now we're talking.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sending this week off on a good note. Danny Glover, I respect your opinions. I wish you good luck with your candidacy with Bernie Sanders. Good luck with your advocacy. And thank you for giving us something to smile about as an artist. You've given us so much meaning through the years, and I appreciate it as one of your fans.
All right, thank you.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Danny Glover. But finally, some good news. Lethal Weapon 5, and he'll be in it. I didn't even ask about Mel Gibson. That's how big a fan I am. All right, so back to the news. The president's son-in-law spoke at CPAC today. He gave an eye-popping prediction for a second term. You know what?